Alright, so Gareth is doing one of Matin's first rides today. Gareth had some questions about Matin, sort of. We're calling him the Ginger Ninja. He's been a bit of a problem child to get started. I'm still using the same principles that Heartfelt promotes, but we had to look at things a little bit differently. So some of the questions that Gareth had for me in regards to helping Matin progress. One of the things that came up is, though Matin is yielding, so yield is forequarters, yield is hindquarters, go backwards, be sent out on a circle. There was still a fair amount of disrespect, and the way that that disrespect was displayed was, you could move his forequarters over, and then he'd put his shoulder back into your space, and then you'd move his hindquarters over, and then he'd step and relax, and then cock his leg in a manner that suggested kicking. He was doing little things with Gareth through the first 4 videos of the masterclass series that almost looked like he was trying to put Gareth in a position to where he could kick him and get out of the way, and it's or run off, and it's so subtle, that it's not the easiest thing to see, but so I've just done a session with Matin of really making sure he understood I saw him step back into my space. I saw him not yield, and I saw him kind of overreacting. It's kind of nonsense, and we just need to work past it. So it looks like this ride is going much better for Gareth and Matin. So Gareth is just saying that we're probably going to make this part of his ride for the next several rides to make sure that Gareth gets on a horse who's a little bit safer, a little bit more respectful. So when we think of impulsion, like we're already kind of dealing with an impulsion issue here with Matin. We want a horse to go, we want a horse to stop with equal effort. Right now we can't even get Matin to lift a foot, so Gareth is going to work those disengagements until Matin's lighter off of his leg, and Gareth is going to be as light as possible and follow through with as firm as necessary to help Matin get the idea that he always needs to listen to a human's request. So basically what Gareth is working on right now is the anti-flight checks on a horse who is locked and loaded and could offer to take flight at any moment. So if you're thinking about how you would apply your anti-flight checks to your own horse, if your horse is having a rough day, we'd hope you go out and sort out some respect issues on the ground. But once you get on their back and you find that they might be a little bit sticky, you'll get the benefit of watching Gareth go through the anti-flight process now, to make sure that we do have some communication with the hindquarters, with the forequarters, and an emergency brake should we need one.
If I could focus this one a little bit on the hindquarters, and I'll really take it slow, talk through it, because he's so sticky on it.
Alright, so Gareth feels like we just need to focus on Matin's hindquarters today. So if you think that, if you're part of our masterclass series, you saw Matin kind of become defensive with his hindquarters. So everything else looked relaxed, but his hindquarters, he kind of leave a leg cocked and ready to use it. Be it leave us or kick us, we weren't really sure. So Gareth wants to get Matin's hindquarters working better. Remember, everything that we teach you guys is the foundation of getting your horse to work off of the hindquarters, be light off your legs, and be a good partner is having control over those hindquarters, to have mental, emotional, and physical control over our horse. So that was probably the nicest disengagement Matin has been able to give Gareth yet. But it took quite a bit of respect building on the ground to get to where Gareth could try that and have it come out successful today. So I just want to remind you that don't hesitate to go back to the ground and make sure that your horse is yielding. Make sure that your horse is in the right frame of mind to learn. Eyes, belly button, leg. You can see Gareth is really exaggerating with each step. So the eyes, the belly button, leg, rein if you need it, are your 4 phases when you're on top. Just the same as suggest, ask, promise, tell. Gareth is making sure that he is as obvious as possible to Matin that that's what he's requesting. So when Gareth goes to ask for this next disengagement, you'll see Gareth's eyes go back to the point of his hip. Gareth will turn and sort of point his belly button at the point of his hip. Gareth will bring his leg on and then use his rein if he needs to. And then if that still doesn't get the job done, Gareth will employ any other aid necessary to help Matin get the idea that we're trying to perform a hindquarter disengagement and that he needs to shift his weight and step his hindquarters away from Gareth's leg.
Repeat that and I'll do another okay.
Alright, so Gareth is using his eyes, belly button. You can see Gareth is going to apply his leg, heel up, toe out, lift his rein. Gareth is going really slow, so it's very obvious for Matin what we're trying to accomplish. Gareth is going to hold that until Matin's foot steps underneath him. That was a really lovely disengagement, Gareth. And sometimes you have, horses get kind of locked up, so Matin seems to be fairly unbalanced with the impulsion scale. So in one breath it looks like he doesn't want to move, but then when we're playing with it on line, he's kind of a rocket. So we're going to adjust it for any situation. Right now we want to get those hindquarters unlocked. Eyes, belly button, leg. Gareth has the rein up across the center line of his body. That's a much better step, Gareth.
Maybe the same process for the one-rein stop as well.
Yep. So Gareth is going to do a one-rein stop. He's going to quit riding. Lift, slide down, close his fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stab himself in the thigh. So Gareth is sat down, lift, quit riding, close his fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to hold that bend until Matin softens at his pole, stops moving his feet and flexes. We'll see if we can get Gareth into another position for me to talk you through that one more time. I'll talk you through it again. Cool. That's great. Alright, so Gareth has quit riding. He's going to lift. Quit riding. Sit down, deep seat on your pockets. He will lift. He will slide his hand down. Close his fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretend like he's stabbing himself in the top of his thigh. Gareth will release that rein as soon as Matin softens his pole, puts some slack in that rein, and isn't moving his feet. That was a really nice disengagement. Don't forget to drop the outside rein. I'm sure Gareth will do another one here in a second, and I'll point that out too. I'd like, let's give a try for a 9-step back up. I feel like Matin's feet might be a little sticky, so if it doesn't come out good, we'll try until we can perform one. Gareth is going to lift, slide down both reins, put a rein in each hand. With Gareth lifted, you saw him shift his weight. Well, that was pretty good. So we'll have Gareth show us another one here again. Okay, so Gareth is going to sit down or quit riding. He's going to lift both reins. He's going to slide down both reins. Clear to the horse's neck. He's going to put a rein in each hand, bring his elbow over his hips. As he's doing so, he's closing his fingers 1, 2, 3, 4 at a time. So we'll do one more time and we'll talk about what Gareth is doing with his legs. So if you notice, Gareth had a little bit of a butterfly flap in his legs there. He's helping to drive Matin backwards. So you can see as he sits deep, he puts his legs farther and forward in front of the girth. And butterflies his legs to create some commotion that might help Matin figure out how to go backwards. And that helps loosen up the feet. Rhythmic pressure is something horses can't ignore. Steady pressure, so if all Gareth did was pull on those reins, Mateen could sit there for hours and never have a response. Gareth using rhythmic pressure with his reins will help Mateen understand his request. Not sure what's so interesting over the hill there. So we have our neighbors doing a young horse starting process behind us, and both Gareth and Mateen are going, huh, what are they doing? Very different picture. Can I please go forward? Mateen's turning. So Gareth is going to do some disengagements to make sure that we take all of the worry out of Mateen, get him back to where he's relaxed and thinking. You saw the more he got focused on the neighbors, the less he focused on Gareth. And we don't want to lose that line of communication we worked so hard to achieve today. Had a little bit of a scoot to it.
I'm happy with one step at a time with the horse that's so involved that, I mean, I want his feet freer before
Right.
we really get to the big stuff, but just getting comfortable with one step at a time and balancing his feet to be kind of stuff.
So Gareth is helping Mateen get comfortable one step at a time traveling forward. We don't want to ask Mateen for a lot of forward until we feel like he's a little bit more balanced and he's not so worried about things. Just so that way we don't end up with Mateen in a wreck learning something he didn't need to know. So taking the time to take these baby steps now will make tomorrow's ride easier and the next ride easier. As Mateen has proven to us, or as we affectionately call him, the Ginger Ninja. He kind of shows us, little holes that he has along the way, and we need to make sure that we go through every ride and tune those things up. So we're not going to rush this process and miss 3 or 4 really big important fixes along the way. We're going to try and cover everything as we go. Gareth is driving Mateen forward, smile, squeeze, smooch if you please. And Gareth is going to drive Mateen at his shoulders to encourage a step forward. Saw Gareth with the end of his lead rope, with the end of his reins, spanking right to left across Mateen's shoulders. That's to encourage a little bit of forward motion. So I want to remind you that the objective here is not to send Mateen rocketing off. We want to take one methodical step at a time so he builds confidence all the way through the process. That wasn't too bad.
Kind of took me back in, but he's still very up about it, so I'm going to do a lot of disengagements in between when he gets like that, because he kind of stops thinking. Stops breathing and stops thinking.
Yeah, he gets really starey-eyed. You can almost see like he just holds his breath. And then the head just kind of slowly creeps up and the adrenaline builds. And even if he doesn't have an outward reaction to it, as that adrenaline builds, as his head comes up and he's not taking in any air, you can see the potential for argument coming.
The thing is, like, every time I disengage, I often get like a lift and choose, so I think that's the only time he processes what's going on in between.
So Gareth is noticing that every time he disengages Mateen licks his shoes and sort of comes back to him and checks back in with him. And he feels like that's his best line of communication at this point. can't catch a break with this guy. We have
Well,
neighbors
the time
shooting
that
monkeys
thing
next
so good that
doors.
time
We
goes
have
by.
wind. We have everything that's kind of been a part of Mateen's backing process. Kid can't catch a break for anything. That was a beautiful, beautiful disengagement.
I like the rough backing, but it's organized too.
Yeah, so if you go back and watch that disengagement, Mateen got his front feet set, he organized his body to make sure that he could make a nice balance rollover with his hips. That's a horse who's starting to think in partnership mode for sure.
And increased each time. It's very good.
You can see there we're taking quite a bit of time to get to a nice product. We're still taking baby steps. Remember, we're just working through the anti-flight checks. So it's a drill that Mateen knows and identifies with. It gives us a chance to really examine which part of Mateen's body we have communication with and which ones we don't. I like that he took those first steps with his hindquarters.
Yeah,
And he's bringing his hindquarters back underneath him.
of course, I'm actually.
Well, yeah, so he's still locked and loaded for flight, but I don't think he's going to. He doesn't have that look about him right now, which could change in a moment's notice. If you look at Mateen, he's starting to breathe, but he's still sort of stoic and stuck in one place. Gareth is again, giving him more reassurance. What I find interesting is now that Mateen's kind of checking in with Gareth, we've kind of sorted out those respect issues. You saw Gareth kind of lift his seat, smile and squeeze to ask Mateen to go forward. Before Gareth had done much, Mateen sort of shifted his weight like he knew something was going to happen and he was preparing to respond. So even though Mateen's very green and doesn't have the right response yet, he's starting to think, every time Gareth uses his legs or shifts his weight, he should probably figure out what he should be doing. And that's again another nice positive step towards partnership. Gareth has been getting a step forward, doing a disengagement. Getting a step forward, doing a disengagement. That was really nice. And Gareth's now going to start working on some direct rein now that we have control over the hindquarters. That was a pretty nice first attempt for direct reins. Mateen's certainly looking a little bit more relaxed now. He's kind of shifting his weight, figuring out how to keep himself balanced. He's not used to carrying much weight yet. Kind of like that he's standing more dignified. My horse is trying to get Gareth killed by pawing at the fence and giving Mateen a fright. All the funny things that happen around Hartford when we're training. You rotten brat, stop it. So Matin proved that he could live through a little bit of a fright. He got tight, saw him clamp down his tail, and he didn't do much else. Gareth disengaged him immediately and brought him back to Earth.
And monkeys asking for animated movies.
Smile, squeeze, smoochly please, spank yourself, spank your horse as soon as Matin tries to take that forward step. You can see he's really thinking about it. He dropped his head, he's trying to figure out if he can shift his weight. Matin's been oppositional about a lot of things. So the fact that his head's coming down, he's trying to travel forward in a really positive way. I appreciate that, even if it's not happening just yet. I feel like he's got a really nice try happening. Gareth is taking the time to make sure that we practice all of these things enough so his next ride on Matin is going to go a little bit smoother, have a little bit more respect, hopefully a whole lot more communication and understanding through the process for Matin to become a ridden partner. So you can see from the beginning of this video, Matin was really quite sticky, and it took Gareth an awful lot of work to be able to get Matin to disengage. Because Gareth has continuously used 4 phases: suggest, ask, promise, tell, eyes, belly button, leg, rein if he needs it. Matin's lightening up and starting to have better responses. He's starting to shift his weight a little bit easier. His head's coming down out of the air because that's what a disengagement does, is provide relaxation. A nice improvement in a short amount of time.
That's a little bit of a direct thing.
Alright, so Gareth feels like it's appropriate to start working on a direct rein with Matin. That's the next step in our anti-flight checks. And also how we provide steering and lateral control over our horse when we are riding. So if we practice the direct rein before we ever take a step, we have a good chance of affecting the horse's feet once we're in motion. Okay, so the direct rein moves the front end of the horse and takes it right or left. The direct rein is not neck reining. We don't use concentrated or short reins for this. So Gareth uses eyes, belly button, the outside leg, and lift his rein until the horse's front end steps over. Ultimately, what we're looking for is the one front foot to step over the other front foot in the direction of travel.
I'm just going to stretch it into the full leg.
So if you see Gareth, Gareth is going to do a direct rein to the left again. So he's going to put his eyes over there, his belly button over there, up over his shoulder. He's going to put his leg on. You can see Gareth's left leg putting pressure to turn Matin to the right. And he uses his rein until that right front or that left front foot comes off the ground. And that's teaching Matin a direct rein. Gareth is going to perform several of those, and I'll talk you through it again. Gareth is going to do another left, eyes, belly button. You can see that foot come on, pushing Matin over. An even bigger try. Kind of looks like he has a little bit more dignity today. No thanks to me. Gareth is going to do a direct rein to the right, eyes, belly button. Watch Gareth's left leg. He pushes the horse's front end over into the turn. So basically, working on your direct rein and practicing your direct rein, we're wanting our horses to shift their weight back to the hindquarters and to take their front end in the direction we would like to travel. If a horse has a really good direct rein, they're never going to be heavy on the forehand. That was very nice, Gareth. So in working our anti-flights, we shift our horse's weight forwards and backwards, right and left on the front end, right and left on the hind end. And doing this on such a green horse teaches a horse how to balance himself. And as you guys work this on the horses that you already have going, you're going to basically be working all muscle groups. So when Gareth does a little disengagement, the weight shifts in the hindquarters from left to right. And then when he does a direct rein, the weight shifts off of the front feet, and then shifting the horse's weight left to right. And as the horse's weight shifts from moving the hindquarters to the forequarters, the weight goes from the back to the front. One of the reasons why horses tend to get spooked or bothered or move hollow or get heavy on the forehand and all of the things that we're trying not to produce is because they don't know how to balance their body very well at all, making it very easy for a rider to pull them off balance, creating a defensive frame of mind in the horse. By practicing these anti-flights to an obsession, first off, you're using lateral stabilizing muscles that don't typically get worked when we're only carrying a horse forwards. So they're going to be building the physical strength as well as the mental and emotional strength to have their weight shift at moment's notice and never be bothered by it, in turn producing more athleticism and accessibility to where we want our horse's feet to go. So I actually feel like this is probably the nicest session that we've done with Matin. I feel like Matin's, he's been through some stuff to get here. He, is fairly Haridas are not as funny as they think they are. Matin's been through some stuff to get here. We've had to work hard to earn his respect without knocking his confidence. Matin's been a interesting challenge for Gareth because he has been one of the more, or Gareth says, the most difficult horse that he's ever started. A lot of learning has happened with this little horse. We want to thank you for sharing this time with him.
Even with that being the case, it still doesn't have to be a rodeo.
Yeah. So Gareth wants to point out that even with Matin being the most difficult horse that Gareth has ever done, there's no part of this that had to be a big rodeo, that had to be dust and blood and sweat and horrible feelings and animosity built into the horse. Everything that we've done to this point has been to preserve Matin's dignity and self-confidence, and to build it and expand on that. I think Gareth has done a real fine job of holding through to the heartfelt principles to get this horse this far in his training program. Few nice offered steps. He looks funny. She looks like a teenager taking out the garbage today.
What you gonna say that, Lizzie?
What I mean by that is he looks like he'll do the job. Still not convinced that this is really how he wanted to spend his day.
But those legs aren't free, but he's trying.
He is trying to free up
Like
his
put those
legs.
onto
You know,
his
and one
legs.
thing that sticks out in my head is his older sister when we backed her a few years ago. It took a great deal of time and a great deal of effort to get her legs to where she could walk, try, and canter freely. And she started out very sticky as well. You know, kind of getting the feet to go in the direction that you wanted, and then keeping the feet in motion. I think Gareth is going to go for his first outride. Could that be? No.
Well, I'm gonna go straight for an outright on him.
Matin had the idea. Matin's sister was very sticky, and had very similar issues. Knowing that these horses are really, well bred, well cared for animals. Part of it could be genetics. A better part of it could be just that the horses are older and didn't have much of an education early on, and that could have lent to this.
She was young.
She was still tough though, so that's what makes me feel like she could have been. Is there a little bit of genetics at play, kind of given the stories about his mom and whatnot? But perhaps that's why she was easier, is that we did get her a little bit younger. Alright, Gareth, are you happy with this, or do you want to finish filming your session?
I think I'm about to get off, but when I get off, I'll do one more disengagement and do one more disengagement.
Alright, so Gareth is
Maybe
going
three.
to end on a good note, do one more disengagement and get off, and this will conclude Matin's session for the day. Thank you for joining us.